Marvel Rivals has been rigging our games and fixing outcomes. Nerfpool made a video about bots in games and how you get matched against bots when you deserve a free win or something. So let's check that out.
Crack open a topic that's been bugging the Marvel Rivals community for months now. Does NetEase sneak AI-controlled bots into Marvel Rivals matches? Of course! Some people in the community say yes.
As like an overarching thing, bots are only really a problem in games if it's like a ranked game, first of all, so people's like ranking and SRs on the line, and then if the bots are like inserted amongst players, right? Like I've played games where it was like an entire bot enemy team. That's a different story because you're never going to find a way to put bots in and amongst players, like either on a team with other players or, you know, how it will be against other real players, where it's fair, because either one, the bot is useless because it just can't think critically, or two, the bot is cracked because it just headshots you and you can't play the game. So there's no real fair way to have a bot exist in and amongst the player lobby. But I mean, I have played games against full bot teams in like low ranks, like in bronze and whatnot, and I think as like a confidence boost, or as like if you're on a really bad loss streak, like we already know in high elo, they fix your wins, right? Like there's times everyone feels you hit a loss streak or you're in a bad game, and then it just feels like you get given that golden egg, and the game feels unlosable, and you just get that god team, right? This is kind of the same thing. It's just like it happened in bronze to me. At one or two games I can recall distinctly it happening in ranked, but it wasn't as frustrating because it was an entire team of bots, right? So it effectively becomes PvE. It's as soon as it's PvEVP, then there's a problem.
Other people say, oh hell yeah! Austin 316 says I just rigged your ass. Oh, and NetEase? Well, they're mostly giving us the silent treatment.
Yeah, because if they talk about it, it's like gonna create controversy, right? It's more upsetting as a gamer to hear that the company's doing that than it is to be uncertain. And this is the exact same thing with AOM, right? And other forms of like, you know, forced 50% win rates, all of those ideas. It's kind of better that the company not say or not mention it, because people looking at the game with the certainty that, oh, the games are rigged, just ruins the player experience. So like, even if it is 100% the case, it's still the best thing for NetEase or just the company in question to pretend it's not.
Gonna get to the bottom of it. Let's dive in. First, let's talk about NetEase's track record with other games. A game that comes to mind is Naraka Breakpoint. It's a much needed battle royale, a very unique concept. We certainly need more of those games that NetEase actually admitted had bots. I can just end the video.
But now, a battle royale is also kind of unique, right? Because the standard idea for a battle royale is that there's a set amount of players. It's like usually 100, and then it's the last person standing. And it's not as simple of a task to just get 100 players on standby to go in a free-for-all as it is like to get 10 or 12 players into two teams. So when it comes to like skill and the fact that it's a last man standing and you're not going to be interacting with every single player in a free-for-all game mode or a royale, like it's a unique case. So I think bots in a game like Naraka Breakpoint or Fortnite or PUBG, that's a completely different conversation, right?
Video right here. They claimed that they had bots because they wanted to stop new players from feeling like total twats when they get whacked by the seasoned veterans. Dude, we gotta bring back bullying. In all fairness, this isn't major. We're talking about a baby steps approach here to just keep people hooked instead of rage quitting after their first match. Okay, it sounds great on paper, until people noticed that there was no giant neon sign that said, Bot Lobby, prepare for easy mode. So, NetEase cracked and had to come clean publicly and assure everyone that the bots would phase out once your skill level rose. Do they? I don't know, man. Don't look at me. I don't play trashy games, but...
Yeah, well, when it comes to specifically Marvel Rivals and NetEase, I did notice bot lobbies, like I said, like 1 or 2 in the lower ranks, and there's been a handful of times that I've come across people that are just outright cheating, and of all of those times, I haven't bumped into someone that I could then clearly say is a bot, right? So if there are still bots in higher elos, like outside of bronze and whatnot, they sure fooled me. Like I couldn't specifically pick it out, and so either they did it right or it's such a problem that it's undiscoverable.
Hey, that level of transparency is refreshingly honest. I like it. I wish we got more of it. Now let's take things from to Marvel Rivals. In terms of rivals, when it comes to admitting whether they're bots or not, NetEase has kept its lips tighter than Jeff's little asshole. Officially, they say that ranked mode uses skill-based matchmaking. Don't get me started on that topic. I made a whole video about it, and no you don't! But okay, I can reduce the tilt in my brain and just assume that's true. Fine, nothing in rank, but what about quick play? Haha, you didn't expect that question.
Yeah,
well,
no,
the
quick
community
play
itself
still bots.
went into Discord and asked and got the classic corporate shuffle of, we can't comment on that, we can't comment on that, and of course you can't comment on that. When my video about the engagement-based matchmaking got posted into the Marvel Rivals Discord, it got taken down. The government is coming after us. They want me. They want my mask. I know you're coming, Marvel. I know you don't like that I have a Deadpool mask on, but trust me, I'm ready to take that fight, bucko. It's okay if they didn't answer to us. I mean, who are we? We only spend time and money in this game, but PC Gamer themselves, they got ghosted too. So nothing but dead air from NetEase, and some might call it suspicious. I call it a giant Looney Tunes arrow pointing to probably yeah. So since NetEase is acting like they're sworn to some ancient vow of silence, players like me and others took matters into their own hands. A Redditor named That, I am not pronouncing it, ran tests for about a week, and guess what? They found bots in quick play. Oh my god! But only after you've been on a losing streak. And presumably
that's exactly,
to keep...
That's like exactly what I said, right? We already know that this happens in a player environment where after a losing streak or a lot of bad games, you get just matched against people who it feels like they've never touched a keyboard or controller in their life. So it's like we already experienced this in ranked throughout many different elos. Like there is some level of EOM or some level of forced 50% win rates or there's something happening and you can feel it, right? So I'm not surprised that like in quick play it's just bots every time that this system gets flagged. It's completely believable.
You from rage deleting the entire game. So let's talk about some of his key observations, which are going to be very similar to what you've experienced. And also, if you look into any of my videos so far, you're gonna see a ton of comments from my lovely people here on my channel that are talking about bots. And it's really a lot of the same, but it boils down to a few really specific patterns. The first one is that bots seemingly only show up in casual quick play, never in ranked. I don't know where I stand on that. I'm pretty sure I've been in a few bot lobbies, but really I don't pay that much attention to.
No, there's 100% bot lobbies. Like, again, I said this was low elo, it was bronze, and it was painfully obviously bots. They all ran on the exact same path as each other. They all strafe and stare at one target at the same time. They all have the same window of delay before they start shooting, and then when they start shooting, they hit every single shot. Like, these are bots, right? It's undeniably the case.
To all the various telltale signs, here's my theory, and just stay with me, this is just my opinion. If you look into how NetEase runs this game, and even past games of theirs, if you look into the mountains of research they've done on engagement-based things, I'm just gonna guess that one of their primary goals with this approach is to make sure that the majority of their player base is always engaged and always playing. Now, the majority of their player base is in quick play and in bronze. To illustrate my point a little bit more, I thought it would be interesting to take a look at some data. And you know me, I love me some data. And let's look at the rank distribution specifically. So, take a look at this.
Oh, look, Look at that old graph, guys. Oh, that's literally what it used to be, right? This is long ago. But you see, the player count is like really high. And I mean, the graph that I showed in my last video, it's a lot more recent one, but just the player counts are so different. Like, yes, I get it that 1.2 million of these players probably haven't played ranked or just in bronze 3, so they're out of question. But like, there's just a lot bigger pool. So when you look at the newer graph, the more like, here's the graph from today, it's like, not only is there no form or shape of a bell curve anywhere, and not only is it like pretty consistent amounts of player counts across all ranks, but at the same time, there's just less people in total.
Almost everyone is in bronze and silver, and somewhat in gold. But look at this. 32% are in bronze 3, 8.32% are in bronze 2, 7% are in bronze 1. This makes it a lot of percentages. This is a lot of people. This is the majority of the player base. And I'm just gonna
guess. Now,
guess.
at the same time, if you have never played ranked, if you got a new account, you get to level 10 plus, and you just keep playing quick play, it will record you are included in that number of a bronze 3 player. So like, that number is a little bit inaccurate, because it's not to say that 1.2 plus million people have played ranked and haven't left bronze. It's just everyone starts in bronze. So even if you don't intend on playing ranked ever, your account is still recorded as a bronze account. And this takes some time to update. I still remember when I started my Unranked Diamond series on stream. This was back when like I was proud of myself for hitting Diamond, because it was single-digit player base. But regardless, it took me quite a while. It took me, honestly, I would say a week before my account even showed up on Rivals Tracker, the website. So there's quite a delay in what the API is drawing from. That's why I would trust the in-game number, like the little in-game percentage, more than I would trust a third-party software, because the actual API that those programs or websites use to call the data to show and to represent of those players, it's got some sort of a delay on it, or something about it has some sort of a time to catch up or calibrate. So I know for a fact that Rivals Tracker, and that's the one I use all the time for argument's sake, is delayed. Like there's at least a week delay in data that you can see from there. So people have spoken about before, like, should you trust the number on the screen, like in game when you hit that rank, or should you trust the thing? I would say trust what you see in the game, because to me that's the more live version, because that percentage is probably calculated when you hit that rank. Like it will grab that data then and there, whereas the API takes like time to update and time for that to be reflected on any of the third-party stuff.
More. If you want engagement from your player base, you're not going to use it just on quick play. You're then ignoring bronze players. Now, that's controversial. That would mean that they're using bots within some form of ranked, but to be honest, bronze is basically like quick play. If anybody's had a ranked game where they suspect they had bots, put it in the comments below. Again, I don't observe that stuff so closely, but I just have this feeling that there might be. The second...
Yeah, no, there definitely is. It was so unarguably the case that these are definitely bots, and it was in ranked, that to me it's not a matter of if or could it be. It was just more of a matter of like, well, why? Why are these bots? Why did they make this decision? And I think the decision is because they're trying to keep engagement, right? This is all based on their engagement optimized matchmaking. And yes, maybe there's a form of skill-based matchmaking, but then again, they probably use skill-based matchmaking to determine the outcome of the game, and they base the outcome that they want to drive engagement. So the only skill-based matchmaking that takes place is the kind that's keeping the engagement optimized matchmaking at the forefront. So in other words, yes, there's probably skill-based matchmaking, but it exists solely to complement and to drive the engagement optimized matchmaking, which is the main form of matchmaking that takes place.
The second observation is around when this whole thing triggers. Typically, if you have 2 or more losses in a row, it seems to increase the likelihood that you then placed in a bot lobby. The third observation is around the distribution of players in each team. Typically, the matches look like this. You have 4 humans and 2 bot teammates. You guys go up against 6 bot opponents. Basically, in Marvel Rivals, that's just a ticket to Win City. Another observation is that typically bots have a level 1 profile, and then if you try to click on them or try to look them up online, then they have restricted access or this profile is private. I have a suspicion that NetEase has adjusted to this. I can't believe that I've had these intentional losses in quick play. I've had 4 and 5 in a row and never got placed in a bot lobby. That's a little bit strange, but maybe they have different info on my account and they know that I play all day, so maybe that's what it is. But I'm also gonna guess that they know we know, and they know we know they know. So then it's not super difficult for them to just tweak the bots and give them different levels and maybe even give them match histories and kind of cook the whole things up to hide it in there. I don't know why you would go to these extents, but hey, I'm a conspiracy guy. I don't know, man. I like that kind of stuff. And the final nuance here, and I really like this one, if you leave a bot match and it's clearly a bot lobby, you still get penalized for it. That's so funny. So basically they're saying, you're gonna win, motherfucker.
But yeah,
We're
but
gonna make sure.
that's based on the game mode, right? So the idea is you're playing ranked or you're playing quick play, and those game modes are designed specifically with those rules in place. So regardless of whether or not the matchmaking system throws you a bot game or a won or a lost game for that matter, the rules of leaving the game are attached to the game mode itself. Like, and a stupid example of this will be like, I've been crashing a lot in Marvel Rivals, right? For the past 2 weeks, like I've been basically unable to play the game. Thankfully I fixed it and I'm able to play again lately. But while I was crashing, it didn't matter whether I was in quick play, whether I was in ranked, or however it may have happened. You get penalized. Like, the game doesn't, like, there's no overarching thing that goes, oh, well, because it was a network issue, because, like, those decisions don't come into play. And it's not because the technology doesn't exist. There is a way to detect for this kind of thing, right? You can see if the client stops receiving and sending packages, then you know that, like, they've been disconnected, either by means of network or the machine is turned off or crashed. But that's not what they'll penalize you for. They'll penalize you for breaching that game mode. So it's got nothing to do with whether or not they want you to win this game and they've given you bots and now they're forcing you to take the win. It's got everything to do with the fact that the game mode itself has those rules attached to it, and you can't breach the game mode's rules.
Sure that you win, and if you leave, we're gonna punish you, so stay in there and get your free win. All of this is just identical to what everybody in my comment sections, on Discord, on Reddit, on Steam, everywhere where I read things, I saw the same stuff. Faceless profiles, private profiles, weird, awkward movement patterns that all kind of stay together. They switch to the role that is needed to fill that team comp. They kind of monitor what you pick, and then they switch to another character. Random things like that. And if you thought that this is just players having confirmation bias and looking for evidence rather than observing very objectively, Morgan Park at PC Gamer, who's more of an independent party, decided to test the waters, and lo and behold, after 3 consecutive losses, he's tossed into a bot lobby. Further investigation also shows that these bots are not there just for filler. They're practically designed to lose. It's like NetEase staged a weird digital puppet show and didn't bother telling anybody. Oh, and by the way, Marvel Rivals is not the only NetEase game with these puppet matches. Over in Identity V or 5 or whatever, players have seen the exact same script. You lose a few times and surprise, you're in Botville.
So here's the crazy thing about that, right? Let's assume that this system exists. Let's just for the sake of this argument, let's assume that yes, this happens. When you lose X amount of games, to drive engagement, they're going to throw you in a bot game. If this system works and is tried and tested and exists, which we're assuming is all 3 of those are true, the scary part for me is what happens when they take the bots out of the equation. Because now, especially in ranked, or especially for a truly competitive player or someone who's trying to play the game in a very competitive environment, that is more demoralizing knowing that the system still exists, it's just not bots anymore, and you're probably going to be forced into fixed outcome matches. And even if you're not, you're going to have the perspective that every single game is a fixed outcome match. That's like one of the most demotivating experiences that a player can have that's trying to play the game competitively. And this is already a problem. People already feel this way, and they're already upset, and they're already like demotivated to play competitively for these exact reasons. So when it comes to the fact that, oh, okay, well, we know the system exists because in quick play you're playing against bots, what if it stops putting you against bots? It's not going to be immediately clear that the system doesn't exist, but it is going to be clear that the system doesn't work with bots anymore. So now, to me, that's more of an upsetting or discerning thing, because now you've got fixed outcome matches that you're playing against other players. And now that to me is a worse environment than one where, oh, we've determined you need a win, here's a couple of bots, versus, oh, we've determined you need a win, so we're putting you against these players that are way worse than you, etc., etc. So, because on the other side of the park, remember, you got to keep in mind that team now, for whatever reason, have been chosen to lose. So if you flip the script and now you're on the other team, imagine you're winning a bunch of games, and then the system decides, no, you need to lose now, and they put you against people that there are AI tools and cutting edge technology that's determined you are worse than these players, so you will lose this game. To me, that's a lot more disheartening than the idea that, oh, you get given bots when you need a win.
Data actually suggests that NetEase has studied hundreds of thousands of match records from League of Legends and Dota 2, possibly to polish these sneaky tactics. So, yeah, none of this is an accident. It's a strategic move to keep you engaged. The big question here is, are these bots just bad news? On one hand, losing a lot sucks, and letting people snag a pity win here and there might keep them from uninstalling. On the other hand, for the more competitive players out there, setting up a match with AI teammates and AI opponents just feels like training wheels that nobody asked for. And
yeah, but like, okay, that's in the case of like a low elo competitive game where you get thrown into bots, right? That's one thing. For me, the more concerning fact is the fact that this system exists at all. Because when it comes to a competitive environment, you are going to be matched against players where the entire game has a determined and fixed output. That's the problem. It's a problem that you're not getting put into a game where it's equal and anyone could win. It's a problem when you're getting put into a game and before the match has even started, one team was already favored to win. That's the problem with a matchmaking like this. And the system exists, right? There's irrefutable proof that this is what's happening in terms of the game being capable of making these matches happen. The argument now is just whether or not it's happening with bots or other players. So the problem isn't even the fact that there's bots. The problem is that there's a system that can detect whether or not they need to give you a game against bots, and to what extent that system is being implemented in the competitive environment. Because even if you're, again, not playing against bots, but you're being put up against a team that was supposed to lose to you, is the problem.
Few people need. What is my personal view? I'm okay with it. This entire game seems to be tuned towards engagement. It's the matchmaking algorithm that's tuned towards engagement. It's the bots that are playing into that entire strategy. The game takes a lot of money, a lot of effort, a lot of time to be built. The game takes a lot of money, a lot of effort, and a lot of resources to be maintained. And these guys want to make money, and that's totally fine. If the player base is healthy and Marvel Rivals is making money for NetEase, then they're going to keep it up for as long as possible, give it updates, polish it up, and just make the game better. And that's something that I'm interested in. Whether they go the SBMM route and go completely competitive or whether they go engagement doesn't necessarily matter to me. I just want a healthy game community. I want a great game that plays well, doesn't have performance issues. I can just pop it on and have a great time. I understand how from a business perspective, if I just took off my player fedora off, it makes more sense to focus on engagement. The reason being, the game has a huge population as of today. NetEase is making a conscious choice of, look, if we go down the engagement route, we get to keep a lot more people. It's a free game, it's a very low barrier entry kind of experience. It's a Marvel IP, so naturally, most of the players, and you saw the data, are going to be in ranked and quick play, and all of these people are going to be kids, they're going to be adults that like to play after work and just relax a little bit. They're going to be the occasional couple where the boyfriend dragged the girlfriend because, look, these two characters are actually married. And oh, look, you don't have to shoot and aim. You can do melee stuff. Please play with me. So if I'm them, and I know that my store converts 5% of its traffic to buyers, yeah, I want to go for the bigger audience because then that would be more money. If I go for just the sweat lords and just go pure SBMM and no bots and no engagement tuning and tweaking, then cool, they're gonna be happy. But the potential amount of money we can make is smaller because we also just alienated 80% of our audience. It's just how they've decided to set up the game. That's the design. I'm cool with it. The problem that I have with all of this, both the bots as well as the engagement-based matchmaking, is that it's so secretive. What is with all the silence? What is with removing videos on that topic from the Discord channel? Why are you shutting down the topic? It's not shameful. It's totally fine.
Yeah, but that's the problem, right? Is the second they admit this, it's going to cause more problems for the perspective of the competitive environment. Players are already shaky. Players already feel that the competitive environment isn't fair and that they're getting matched in unfavorable games or that they're getting forced outcome matches. So them putting this out as public knowledge is going to confirm everyone's fears, and it's going to just lead to a net negative experience. So if it's true and it's 100% the case, them not mentioning it is the best course of action. That is the best thing that they can do.
What makes it even more ridiculous is that NetEase went out there and wrote freaking research papers on the topic of engagement-based matchmaking and the bajillion things that they do in order to keep players engaged, and then when it's presented with the topic and asked the question, just shuts the fuck down. Really? You expect us to believe that you're using engagement-based matchmaking in some of your smaller games. You wrote academic papers on the topic, and yet, in your most profitable and biggest and best game, you don't use that? You expect...
Then just assume that it's true. Because, you already don't believe that that's the case. You already refuse to believe that they're not using it. You might as well just then take it as truth and take it as granted, because you have more than enough reason to. It's more so just a matter of now, well, why wouldn't they want to admit it? And to me, it's painfully obvious. They don't want to admit it because admitting that you have a system like that isn't healthy for the community's perspective of a competitive environment. And I've chosen those words very carefully, right? It doesn't affect people like Nerfpool. It doesn't affect people like Couch Co-op Married Couple. This perspective affects the sweats. It affects the people that take the game seriously, that want to play competitively and want to improve. Those are the people you're protecting by not admitting that this is a system that is in play. Even though everyone would believe it, it's the fact that they're refusing to accept and admit it to themselves that's still keeping the dream alive. It's keeping the sense that this is all conspiracy and that the matchmaking is fair to a degree. Because the community debating whether or not it's fair matchmaking is one thing. The company that facilitates the game openly admitting that it isn't fair-based matchmaking is a completely other thing.
You expect us to believe that even though, in the past, you've admitted to having bots in other smaller games of yours, in your biggest title to date, you utilize none of that? Come on! What is with the unnecessary secrecy? It's not such a big deal. If anything, not talking about it, removing comments, and being so silent about the whole thing creates a lot of FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. We all start wondering, wait, what's actually going on here? Why are they hiding it? We start pulling strings together and connecting things that are probably not even there. And I have this feeling that if they just went out there and said, here's how the matchmaking works at a top level, and here's, yes, we use some bots occasionally, then we'd all shut up and we'd have nothing to talk about. Wait.
Yeah, but then the problem is no one will want to play the game seriously competitively then, because one of two things is going to happen. Either one, people are going to now say, okay, well, matchmaking's rigged, so there's no point in trying, I give up. Or people are going to say, oh, okay, well, cool, thanks, now I know how the system works, so now I know how better to abuse it and get myself the rank I want. So it's a lose-lose for the company, because one is going to jeopardize their player base, and two is going to jeopardize the already dwindling experience of competitive play. So they have no choice but to not mention it. And that is the right choice, because it's the only way in which they win.
Wait a minute. No. Actually, be more secretive, because then I can make more funny, cool videos. And let's take this outside of my personal opinion and let's just focus on the fact. NetEase is not alone here. Not with this engagement stuff that I talked about in previous videos, and not with the bots. Bots are a thing in a lot of games. None of this stuff is going to slow down. However, if NetEase and other developers want to avoid flipping a portion of their player base into a fucking angry mob, they should consider just telling us exactly how these AI matches and matchmaking algorithms work. Because if the question becomes, are we unknowingly battling Skynet? The answer seems to be, yeah, probably. So until NetEase owns up, gamers like you and I are left playing detective, sifting through weird lobbies, recording our screens, and just wasting time. And maybe one day we'll get an official explanation. Maybe. Until then, just remember, if it quacks like a bot, it waddles like a bot, and tries to give you a suspiciously easy win, it's probably a bot.
But yeah, I think the takeaway from this is, right, there's no one that doesn't believe that there's some sort of engagement optimized matchmaking. Like that's just sheer fact. Like no one doubts this anymore. This is just how it is. And the problem now comes into what are these implications, right? They're not mentioning it because it's going to hurt the experience in one way or another. That's why they're not coming out and saying it. And they are trying to have a competitive environment. That's what the competitive game mode is for. But I mean, everyone's seen that little try out competitive pop-up button that comes. So at the same time, they're also trying to drive players into the competitive experience, which isn't necessarily the case with other games. Usually for other games, there's a distinct barrier to entry when it comes to competitive games. And they kind of try hard to make sure that the player really wants to play competitively before they open that gate. Like League of Legends is a common example. You used to have a max level account just to start playing ranked, and that took long. Back when I was like starting out playing League, like getting level 30 was a mission on its own. Like it's not like nowadays you can pop out a level 30 account in a weekend, right? It was not like that back when I started playing. So there's a complete disparity to how Marvel Rivals is actually trying to filter players into the competitive experience, because they're catering to that enjoyment of climbing. And this relates back to my other video of why Marvel Rivals isn't a competitive game, it's a climbing game, and how the ranked game mode feels great to climb, nothing else. There's almost no prestige or there's no valor to having a higher ranked account because the player curve looks like this, but at the same time, it's very enjoyable to climb. Other games don't have that, and League of Legends, I mean, not only is a part of NetEase's research, it's part of my personal experience. It feels horrendous to climb in League of Legends. It feels like you never climb. And so many players, some of the best players in the world, some challenger players, would say, yeah, they were hard stuck at a specific rank, they improved on basically every single skill possible, then they saw a skyrocket in their rank. It's not like, oh, yeah, I fixed my wave control, now I ranked up. I fixed my warding, then I ranked up again. I fixed my mechanics, then I ranked up again. I fixed my macro and team play, and now I'm challenger. No, it's not like that. It's like you improve everywhere, you become a challenger level player, then you skyrocket to challenger from diamond or wherever, right? So Marvel Rivals doesn't have this. Marvel Rivals literally just has a favorable climbing. Like, if you just put in the hours, if you just play a shit ton of games, you will end up in Grandmaster. That is the current problem with Rivals. And so their solution was to just have very frequent, like, rank resets, right? Where everyone would either go back to bronze or go down 7 tiers. And Necros is saying that, oh, well, that's a band-aid. That's a temporary solution to a bigger problem. But that's the problem, that you want to keep the competitive environments truly competitive. So in my mind, there's two, like, real ways they could go about doing this. Either one, they use their resets and they make really, like, frequent rank resets, like even quicker than what they were planning to do with the season 1.5. Or alternatively, they create an environment where this isn't the case. What do I mean by that? Basically, let's imagine it's like the League of Legends Chinese super server, where in order to play on the League of Legends Chinese super server, you need a Diamond 1 account from any other region that then gets transferred over to the super server. So in theory, the Iron 4 players on the Chinese super server are Diamond 1 players on a worldwide standard anywhere else. At least, right? So that's the bottom. So in my mind, they can keep the game the way it is, but then make a clear cut, right? And it already exists to a degree with gold, because that's when you lose your demotion shield, your chrono shield. But they make a clear cut where it is evident that, right, now there's a completely different matchmaking environment. You are now only playing with like XYZ kind of degrees or environments, and that's what happens with League of Legends. Once you get into Masters, you're not allowed to pre-made anymore. You have to play solo. Like, you're not allowed to party up. And something like League of Legends, in my opinion, requires a higher level of communication and team play to be a more effective team than something like Marvel Rivals. Marvel Rivals, like positioning, pinging, like telling people when you have your ult, telling people to engage or back off, is sufficient communication. So although you'll find the best teams have the most amount of communication, which is how it is in every game, it's less important in a hero shooter. So in my mind, they should implement something like that. And let's say, for example, it's Eternity. In Eternity, once you rank out of Celestial 1, you're now in Eternity, you cannot party up. It openly admits that you're playing with a different matchmaking system that can't fix games, that can only match you with players that have your rank. You're not allowed to, like, just 6-stack and stomp people with communication. That, in my mind, would fix everything. And it would make a clear difference. So yeah, otherwise my takeaway is, well, if we can already assume that this is happening, and we already assume that this is how the game works, just use it to your advantage. So if there's anyone out there watching this that's genuinely upset or genuinely wants to play the game in a competitive way, and they feel that they're not able to because the system isn't allowing it, this is more reason to why people like you wouldn't want to hear from NetEase that they are rigging the games. But if everyone can assume that this is the case, use it to your advantage. In my mind, you should be abusing the EOM to help you rank up, because there is no exploit in my mind that is unfair or unethical from a player's perspective. If something shouldn't be exploitative, the game shouldn't allow it. And if closing the game because you're losing too many matches is going to force the game to give you more wins, that's not a bad thing. To me, that's an exploit that's completely valid and fair, and I would recommend and suggest that. So go ahead, play on your main account, play some ranked games. Every single time you lose too many games in a row, log off, go into another account. Use the EOM in your favor, use the system to help you rank up, because all that's going to happen is either one, you will rank up and you've abused EOM to help you rank up, then you're using an unethical system to unethically give you the rank that you in theory would now deserve, or two, you're just going to de-tilt yourself because you're not going to care as much when you're switching off to another account and you can chill and relax and like zone out a bit more. And both are better for you. Both are healthy ways to climb. So that's my suggestion to you. If you genuinely are upset or annoyed about how the ranked system is, let me know in the comments below. This video is a lot longer than I thought it was going to be, but tell me what you think of this kind of content. I already wanted to do a video like this for Nerfpool's State of Ranked. He's done a video that goes and explores EOM and the things that Marvel Wilds do, but that was a much longer video. So let me know what you think about this. Let me know if you'd like to see that video below. Don't forget to check out Nerfpool's video. Go ahead and like and subscribe to it if you enjoyed it. This was, at the end of the day, most of his content, and mine is just a reaction, almost opening a dialogue. So the credit goes out to him for his brilliant video. So please do go show your love to him if you enjoyed this video. But otherwise, thank you so much for checking this one out. If you like these kinds of videos, let me know in the comments below. And if you want me to do another one as well, be sure to drop a like so that the YouTube algorithm knows that you like these kinds of videos, and then we can fix the matchmaking on the kinds of videos that we make. Otherwise, thanks so much everyone, and I'll see you next time.